For some reason, when I put a GIF on StreamYard, it was too big. The file was too big. But yeah, don't pick your nose right now because we are live on YouTube. Welcome anyone who's here. But anyways, it looks like we have no one, which was expected on the first try here. But yeah, welcome to another episode of Bored and Annoyed. And this is a very special episode because we are actually live. So you'll get to understand why it actually takes us 4.5 hours to record an episode because we're actually really terrible at this banter. But I am Jackson.
I'm home at the movies.
And welcome to another episode of Bored and Annoyed. So home, we're both working from home.
Yes.
HOME. How has that experience been?
It's been strange. I actually miss my coworkers, which I don't know if I would have said 10 years ago
that you would actually miss them.
Yeah, but I miss it. But no pants. Great.
Oh, you don't have pants on right now.
Never said right now, but
I don't. Maybe nobody knows. Yeah, nobody knows. Now, I will say that you actually look even worse on video here than you do when you come to my house.
Thanks.
Thanks. And if you came over with no pants on, we probably couldn't record the show. So that's
Werner would be all over me.
Yeah, it's Werner. Yeah, Werner is he's napping, by the way. I could turn the camera and show him, but we're just gonna leave that a mystery.
How's he been doing with this whole situation?
He's pretty scared. I mean, he's in that age range really? Where it's really difficult. But
I thought he was like somewhere between 200 and 300. I thought he's seen some stuff.
That's true. He lived through the Black Plague, the bubonic plague or whatever. Right. Yeah, right. That's true. I mean, this is a new one. It's uncertain. He's seen the horrors of the previous versions of viruses. So
right.
But yeah, I mean, what's life been like for home?
I mean, yesterday was my first day working from home. I realized the second that somebody tells me I can't do something, I really want to do it. So I really want to go see people. I want to do things. And everything being canceled is it's killing me a little bit. I actually, but it's nice. I went for a jog, and I've been running every day, and now I can get everything done in the day by like 5:30, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. We went for a walk yesterday and it was like beautiful outside. And then you wake up today and there's snow on the ground. But even going for a walk, it's like when somebody walks by you, you're all like, oh,
you can feel it.
Shit. Oh God. But nobody cares about our personal life. So shall we start the show?
Sure, let's start the show.
Bored and Annoyed.
So yeah, with it being virus season, we figured we would start with some news, virus-related news. Now, as many of you know, if any of you are trying to go see movies, which, you possibly could be considering this is a movie podcast and you have any interest in listening to this, you may have noticed that theaters are closed. So apparently now it's being reported that, a week or two ago, it said that it was expected to cost the film industry $5 billion, $5 billion, but now it's 20. So
this is, the second that they started delaying things and then they started, doing it was to be expected that it was going to become this sort of massive loss. What I'll be interested to see is what is the government going to do in response? Like, is there going to be some sort of bailout for all companies?
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, we care about the movie industry because we see movies, right. But think about all the other shit. I mean, that's just a drop in the bucket, right?
Right.
I mean, restaurants, bars, wait staff, service industry people losing their jobs. Solo Wookie just commented, where do we live where we have the problem of snow? We live up in wonderful Wisconsin. And by the way, if anybody, listening to this wants to get involved the next time and chat with us on here, make sure you're following us on YouTube so you can chat and we'll throw you up on here or give you a shout out or whatever. But thank you, Solo Wookie. Yeah, so $20 billion, you can't even imagine how much money in general the economy is losing. I mean, we're not CNN, so we're not going to sit here and discuss, global economic policy and bailouts and all that stuff, but it's a little scary, especially if you like going to the movie theater in the case of movies.
Right. I mean, well, it's kind of, I mean, there's a little bit of, you could say, I don't know. It's very serious. It's a serious thing that's going on. But it's become, I'm always concerned about people's safety, but the problem now is like, what's going to happen to the economy? And yeah, we don't have to spend time talking about it because we're not CNN, we're not experts, but it's like, I mean, you can't, like, stimulus, like, that's not going to solve everything. Like $1,000 stimulus or whatever. Like it's the whole, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him to fish, feed him for a lifetime thing.
So true. Yeah, you can't coop people up in their house and expect a healthy country, period. Yep. Right. It's funny too, when this started, like a few days ago, it was like every day the news was getting worse, so like first I saw we've got, Marcus Theaters, AMC, and New Vision are the three, main movie theaters that we have in town here. And first I noticed Marcus had like a new seating chart where they X'd out, like it was like 2 seats, 2 X's, 2 seats, to cut down on or increase the social distancing, right? And then New Vision sent an email saying, hey, we're gonna really be hitting everything with sanitizer or whatever. Right. Who knows?
Yeah,
that is true.
I went to Target last night. Yeah, dangerous. I braved the world.
That is crazy.
And well, it was like 9:30 at night. I'm not gonna go when there might be a crowd.
Downright Nerdy podcast. Yeah, his comment is being cooped up is almost as bad as Rise of Skywalker. Now, Rise of Skywalker released early on video on demand. So if you really wanted to hurt yourself, you could theoretically, sit in your house and watch Rise of Skywalker.
You ever thought about like that? What's it, Fiverr? That new, streaming thing? Like, I'll do anything for $5.
Yes, sure. Yeah,
I would pay $5 for you to stream you watching Rise of Skywalker with live commentary.
Hey, anybody in the chat that wants to do it, feel free. Go for it. Yeah, so that actually live commentary would be fun for Rise of Skywalker. But by the way, speaking of Star Wars, our buddy Cookie from Just a Little Podcast was on our Downright Nerdy podcast last weekend, and he won the draw. So he selected the original Star Wars as our movie this weekend. So if you have time on Sunday night, drop by at 7 Central and check that out. But yeah, so obviously there's the money involved with that. Now we have movies being delayed. I know a couple movies we're both really excited for. We're not going to see one of them indefinitely. We don't know when, is Black Widow.
Right.
And Bond got delayed to November. So this sucks.
Yeah, no, I'm the one that really got me, and the one that was like, okay, this is real now. We have to take this serious, was Black Widow. Because I was like, okay, as long as Black Widow is on the horizon in May, we might have a chance of things blowing over. But now it's like, no.
Yeah, that's a month and a half away.
Yeah, if Disney is like, we're gonna hedge our bets, and that doesn't give me any hope for this going away anytime soon.
Right. Yeah, no, it's worrisome. I mean, I've got tickets to a couple concerts this summer, and I'm getting like panicky about like July shit that I have planned.
I've got tickets for Electric Forest in June.
Oh, that's real close.
That's too real close. It's looking.
That's only a quarter of a year away.
Only a quarter of a year away.
Right. Yeah. So that sucks. So yeah, cancel all your plans, everybody. If you can get refunds now, apparently do it. But
it is, I mean, it is like, it sucks. And I love the memes that are coming out of this. Like, it's nice that people can find joy in this, but it's
some of them are pretty great.
Yes. And it's like, this is a serious thing. And I'm glad that people are taking it seriously. I'm glad that businesses are taking it seriously. But yeah, it just kind of sucks in the meantime.
So Solo Wookie asked, Bored and Annoyed, do you know if box office includes snack items or is that just a movie ticket sales? I've always
Movie
wondered, but
ticket
speculated
sales.
it was just movie ticket sales. So yeah, it would be
Yep.
movie ticket sales. Now, the snack deal is for the purpose of movie theaters making money. So they're not selling snacks, they're not selling shit, they're just closed. Yeah, but I mean, what are you going to do? So there's that. There's James Bond, everybody was excited for. But on the plus side, some of these studios have decided to go ahead and let us watch movies from home. Now, none of them are giant. Universal is releasing Invisible Man, The Hunt, Emma, and I believe Trolls 2 is coming out this Friday. I think maybe Trolls is like a week or two away. But this Friday, yeah.
Trolls 2.
Trolls 2. Yeah, not Troll 2.
Oh.
Not to be confused with Troll 2. No, the little you know.
Yeah. I literally I was like, they're re-releasing Trolls 2?
Yeah, special edition with enhanced effects.
Right.
Troll 2. If anybody hasn't seen Troll 2,
check it out.
Yes, it's just wonderfully terrible.
Oh
but yeah,
God.
so this weekend, now I'm pissed I went and saw any movies and risked getting the virus because I could have just sat on my ass right here and watched them at home. So yeah, that's great. That's just great. And somebody pointed out too, the Invisible Man. It's like, now it's a metaphor for the virus too. You don't know where it is. So, but yeah, that's kind of nice. And you wonder what'll be happening moving forward with that. Bloodshot just came out like 5 days ago. That's coming out on streaming next Tuesday.
Right.
So, it sucks for all you people that wasted your time going to see that because I can't imagine it was any good, but you could have just sat at home and watched it.
I mean, wasn't there a service? I feel like there was a service a few years ago that they were talking about the idea of you purchase a movie and you actually spend more than what you would spend if you went to the theater. I think it was like $20. But if you did that, you would have a 24-hour window that you could watch it as many times as you want.
So rumor has it the way they're doing this for The Hunt and stuff this weekend, because they have to make up for the fact that like 4 people could be watching it in your house. Right. So apparently, from what I understand, and of course, if I was a good reporter, I would actually confirm this, but it's $20 and you get it for 2 days.
Okay.
That's from what I understand of how it works. I don't know if that's like when you rent something on Amazon and it's like you have 28 days. Once you start it, you have 48 hours. That's typically how it is with like Amazon rentals. But yeah, that's the rumor. And it's $20. I mean, it's not cheap if you're watching it by yourself. But, if you and your significant other or a buddies come over, less than 10 people, we don't advocate. We don't advocate breaking the rules. But yeah, theoretically, you all chip in, $3 or $4, sit around, give each other hand jobs and watch a movie,
Wow.
Yeah.
We advocate hand jobs and we advocate physical contact during a quarantine.
I mean, who doesn't
more than 10?
Who doesn't
more
like,
than 10.
Yeah, nine hand jobs happening at once. Yes. That sounds
Totally
like a
fine.
great time. Just a great time for everyone involved.
Whatever floats your boat.
Unless it's like what was the movie with the guys who were sewn ass to lips? The Human Centipede. The last guy, the guy who's not getting a hand job, he's just giving one.
No, he's just left out.
Yep. Poor guy.
Yep. Life's all about reciprocity and
right. Well, and then there's the guy at the front who's just getting a hand job and he doesn't have to give one.
I tell you what, there's nothing that is a better metaphor for society than one guy at the front getting a hand job and not having to do anything, and one guy giving one and not getting anything in return.
Hey, Bernie, I hope you're listening. This is you need to overtake Biden. This is it. This is the metaphor.
This is your t-shirt.
But yeah, I mean, that's it for news. Is there any other unrelated coronavirus news that you have that you can think of for us to talk about? I mean, we don't have to dwell on the virus,
I did see semi good news in that there is a a group of scientists in Seattle who's actually moved on to human testing
Okay.
For a cure for the virus. So that is astounding because that's
Yeah.
really fast.
Now, I'm going to put my movie hat on here.
Mm.
He turns into like a genetic, you know what I mean? He's
Right.
the lizard man from Spider-Man.
I was
you
going
know?
to say, that's, I swear to God, like, I don't know if multiple realities exist, but if they do, we're in like the shittiest one because it's
2020 sucks.
Yeah. Well, it's like, but even think about it like this way. Like, what if there's what if there's a universe where instead of, oh, you get a virus and you just get sick, it's like, oh, you got a virus and now you've got a third testicle, or you've got a fourth arm. Yeah, that's right. In that universe, everybody has 3 arms.
Okay.
We just have stuff that kills us. We have nothing fun. We have
nothing that just like makes you strong. Or
like,
that's
oh,
cool.
you're strong, but your skin is you got cracked skin. You're like the Stone Men.
Oh God, the Stone Men. Grayscale.
Grayscale.
In
Fucks
Game
up
of
your
Thrones.
skin. Fucks up your skin, but you got super strength.
At least
we
you
just got stuff that
survive.
kills you. You survive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, there you go. I mean, there's another movie. Let's go to that world where
I wanna
the
go to that.
viruses don't attack you; they help you out.
Well, I'm not saying. Well, prejudice. Like, oh, you got the virus. Now you got 4 arms. What kind of shirt you gonna wear?
Perfect. That's true. You have to figure that out.
And then it's like, oh, and then you got like a whole society of like people who can only get off on like 4-armed people.
Okay.
Turns like, new fetishes, 4-armed people are just like regular people. Let them get married, kind of thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was someone out there. You bring up fetishes. What if there's probably someone out there who's like got a fetish for this virus? They just think it's great. They want it so bad,
Or they just like viruses in general. Like they just like look at microscope petri dishes and like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somebody, they're having that hand job party we were talking about. They're doing it for the virus. But yeah, I mean, anything else, or are we ready to discuss 12 Monkeys here?
We are ready to discuss 12 Monkeys. So,
all right. Yeah, so go ahead. You do the intro for 12 Monkeys. I've got the control panel, so I'm kind of hogging the show. But
okay,
go for it.
So we've got Bruce Willis, man traveling back in time, trying to prevent the spread of a deadly disease that kills 99% of humanity, thereabouts. And then there's Brad Pitt. Are there any other like really named people in this?
There is Christopher Plummer.
Christopher Plummer.
He's
that's right.
in it. He's in it. And what's the guy's name? He was in Contact. God damn it.
Oh, the fucking redhead.
Name? Yeah. Shit.
He's always a dick. He's always a dick.
Right, he is, and I should know his name because he's been in enough shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always a dick. He's always a dick. And then the woman in it is Madeline Stowe, and I actually really like her. So I'm kind of surprised that she wasn't, a bigger star than she is. I mean, she's good in the movie. But yeah, basically a guy from the distant future has to go to the past, not even to stop the virus, though. That's not his goal.
That's right. It's to gather information about the spread of the virus.
Right. Yep. So he's got to come back with some sort of information because I want to say it's like 40 or 50 years. No, I guess Bruce Willis is probably like 40. So it's probably like 30 years in the future.
Okay. There's something weird about this movie, though.
Okay.
Because, so he goes back to... Okay, now maybe I was confused about the timeline. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But I swear to God, he goes back in time to say the present is 97. And he goes back to 1990. Is that correct?
I don't think that's correct.
Okay.
He goes back to 96. The movie came out in 95, and he goes back to 90, which is 6 years too early. The
Right.
first time
Yes.
he goes
Yep.
back.
Yep.
And then he comes back and he's like, "You assholes! You sent me, way
To
too
the
far
wrong
into the-"
time. Yeah.
Right. So he, as far as when it takes place, that's a good question. But I can look that up real quick. But no, it's not. It's not the late 90s. It's past that.
No,
2035.
Anyways,
2035.
2035. Okay.
So we're only behind by about 15 years on this or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a weird movie. It's Terry Gilliam. He did the kind of cult classic movie Brazil with Jonathan Pryce and Robert De Niro. He's kind of into typically doing the metaphor type deals, which this movie's a little bit more normal than a lot of the movies he's made.
It's got some metaphors in there.
And it definitely has the look, that industrial, ugly look, especially like the future, the underground future is very strange.
The future reminds me of like a cross between Blade Runner and Super Mario Brothers.
Yes, I would say that's accurate. I would say that is accurate. The way people are dressed and everything. So he's a prisoner. Bruce Willis is in 2035. We really don't know what he did. But essentially they get called up to do like surface duty, where they have to go to the surface and gather some sort of living organisms or whatever, so they can be studied. They bring it back down. And there's like this panel of these creepy scientists. They remind me of, Guilty in the Superman movies,
Yes.
That's what they reminded me of. But yeah, basically they decide that he's really observant, so they're going to send him to the past to gather information on the virus that they can bring back. So it's a weird fucking movie, but it's entertaining. The performances are good. I love Brad Pitt in this, especially the scene where he's introduced and he's just batshit in the mental asylum. Yeah.
I love it. I love it because it's like, I think it's my favorite Brad Pitt performance. Maybe
it is. It's amazing.
And he outshines Bruce Willis so fucking hard, because it's like, I think maybe at the time I would have been more impressed with Bruce Willis's performance.
Sure.
But now you're like, well, you're just doing standard Bruce Willis. You're like, what do you mean? I don't know what's going on. That kind of thing. It's like, well, checks in the mail or something, like, he has to, it's a little bit harder of a performance. There's one scene where he's got like a glob of spit that's like hanging to the ground, and it's hard to watch because it's so disgusting. Yeah.
But no, Brad Pitt gets introduced and he's batshit, and he's like yelling at this woman to get out of his chair. Yep. And he starts talking about like requesting TV shows, and he goes fucking crazy. Yep. That 3-minute scene is unbelievably awesome. I love it. It's hilarious.
It might have been my favorite scene in the movie.
It's certainly my favorite scene, just because of how awesome it is. Now, there are little nuggets that happen throughout the movie that are kind of neat. But it's funny because I saw this. Is this your first time watching this? Out of curiosity?
First time watching it. Yeah.
First time watch. So I guess I'll ask you, since you're more intelligent, hopefully, than I was when I first saw this. How predictable was some of the stuff?
Oh, I thought it was a very predictable movie.
Okay.
Overall, but that's because I've seen movies.
That's true.
And I also understand like this sort of hinges on the crux of, is it real? Is it not? And well, it doesn't really hinge on it, but it's like one of the story aspects. Like, is he insane or is he not? And I keep thinking like, look, even in 1996 or 5, when this came out, you can't do the whole, it was all a dream thing.
Yes.
It's it's basically taboo for script writers to do that at this point.
I would agree,
because everybody feels like they were cheated if you do that.
Yeah. Nobody wants to waste their time with that.
Exactly. So the second they introduce that, I'm like, 1, I don't believe this. And 2, you've done enough to establish that by the end, I absolutely know, for actually halfway through the movie, I absolutely know he's not crazy.
Right.
So,
right. Well, yeah. Well, especially they're dropping hints. And I mean, what's your grade of this movie before we get into spoilers?
I'd probably give it like I'd probably give it a B.
Yeah, I'll give it an A minus.
Sure.
Had you have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said A plus. I used to love this. I still love the movie, but
Right.
it is like there's a lot of things in here where it's like, well, and we're kind of venturing into spoiler territory here. I need a little play that I can click. Spoiler warning, whatever. But
we can work on that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. First good idea I've ever had in my life. But no, I think that there's not like the kid in the well,
right?
When he's like, oh no, the kid's in a barn. It's like, well, obviously you're dropping that because that's going to be the moment where she, and the voicemail at the beginning, that's like the girl's voice. Oh, you didn't leave that voicemail? And it's like all this stuff is like, that's if nothing happens with that, this isn't The Rise of Skywalker. It's a good movie. So if nothing happens with that, it's not going to make any sense. Right. So exactly. For those reasons, I feel like they could have maybe more cleverly, finagled the plot. Now, okay. Question for you on this whole concept though, too, because it's your first time seeing this one. The whole dream flashback thing, does that work for you knowing movies now the way you do? Because it's almost like you're not supposed to know, but it seems really obvious.
We're doing spoilers. Which dream flashback? Are we talking about the airport dream flashback?
Yeah, we're talking about how Bruce Willis keeps talking about this dream, and you see little nuggets of the dream throughout the movie. It's clearly a memory or flashback. I believe the movie opens close up on his eyes as a kid, right?
It does. Yep. Yeah. It opens up with the dream, and then he wakes up, and then they send him out to do the scavenging.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was like, it relies on film language, like the whole like sort of washed out colors, the slow motion, the sort of echoey voices, and then obviously starting on his eyes, it lets you know that it's a dream and it's from his perspective, and then he wakes up in the current time. So you're led to believe right off the bat, like this is real. This is a thing that exists in his head already.
Sure. Yep.
So when you're starting from that point, it's kind of like, okay, so now, yes, we're in a subjective world, but this is a thing that he's experienced, and we are experiencing this movie chronologically with him.
Sure.
So even if, like, it's just, there's no way that it's not real. There's no way that the time travel isn't real. And maybe he has some problems, but they also bring up the idea of like, time travel is hard on you.
Yeah.
And that would explain a lot of sort of his kooky behavior. And the more time he spends in a time, the less crazy he seems.
That's true, which I liked.
Yeah,
actually, I liked that. Now,
well, it makes sense because it's like he's like coming down from whatever happens.
Yeah, the first time he goes back, he's like a raving lunatic who like beat the shit out of 5 cops or whatever.
Yep.
Now, does that give too much away? Because it's not entirely clear when you first see the movie, it's because he's got like a wig and a mustache on. You don't really see his character in that, memory sequence until as soon as he puts the wig on, you're like, oh, that's it. But did you know it was him just from watching?
Not at the beginning, but knowing time travel stories, you're like, well, you tend to sort of loop in on whoever's going back in time, there tends to be a loop,
Yes,
it's
true.
I mean, it started popularly with Terminator. So
yeah, it's about the most interesting thing you can do.
Exactly.
With time travel.
Yeah, exactly. And actually it's the most interesting. And now it's basically the most played out,
except for when it's dark and they just knock it out of the park and make it amazing.
Well, because there you don't really know where, because they talk about knots in that show, and you don't know where the knots start or end.
Yeah, and it's funny how that show has probably brought down every time travel related thing that I've ever watched down a peg, because I can't watch 12 Monkeys without thinking like, wow, how does Dark do this without it being so telegraphed all the time?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a genius show. But anyways, not talking about Dark. Yeah, this was a predictable movie, but fun.
It is. It's fun.
A lot of fun.
Now, I texted you about how the Akja it's an Akja prequel.
It
because,
is.
because you have the 12 monkeys are Paul Dano's crew. I really like the twist that all they did was let the animals out of the zoo.
Yeah,
I think
love
that's
that.
like brilliant. The fact that they've been obsessing over these 12 monkeys, you know, for 3 decades or whatever, 4 decades. And then
Right.
it's like, oh no, this idiot kid just wanted to let the monkeys out of the zoo. And it's perfect for his character because, you know, we talked about in Joker how it's like, can you imagine Joker being like this criminal mastermind guy?
Right.
And it's kind of like that in this movie. Like Brad Pitt's character in this is going to like brilliantly release this plague in all these separate locations throughout the globe. And, you know, it's just, I don't know. I found that twist really fun.
Right. No, I like that. And, you know, we talk about metaphors in this movie. I mean, they talk about quarantining the insane, you know, can't spread the insane. And I'm like, this is a movie about, it's about the virus and it's about time travel and it's about some other things too. But a lot of it I really found to be a social commentary on sort of separating the mentally ill. Because they really hammer that home in that sequence with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, they do. And you're right. It's quarantining the mentally ill. Like they're not helping these people, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and then there's an awesome scene with the doctor, Madeline Stowe's character, where she's talking to like her supervisor or the person who used to be her supervisor. And she's like, well, okay, we're psychologists. We get to decide who's fucking crazy.
Yep. It's the new religion.
Right.
Which I loved that because it was such a snapshot of the time because it really was called that. Like in all of, you know, I was barely old enough to remember that, but I remember psychology really getting huge in the 90s. Yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, that's what ruined all of us now today is the damn psychology.
Right.
I don't know. The movie is really, it's fun stuff in it too. Like there's one part where he gets sent back to World War I and like his buddy who he was like cellmates with is there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, this is a fun movie.
Yeah, because that is and then she like recognizes him from somewhere and she doesn't really know where, but she studied World War I. And then when the guy, Law and Order guy, calls her to let her know that the bullet was fired in the 1920s or whatever, then it clicks in her head and all of a sudden it flips because the next time he comes back, he basically thought he was just imagining the future and he's now the one who believes that he's insane and she trusts it or she thinks he's right. Really fun. And then she gets put in the shoes of having to be the person who, you know, is spouting the crazy nonsense. You know what
and there was something that, like I said, I feel like this movie is functioning on a few different levels. One was, it still functions as a Contagion movie. And I was really kind of blown away with Bruce Willis. They go to like a prostitute hotel. And I was sort of blown away with the idea of like, Bruce Willis is like, I just want to exist here in this time, blah, 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 with you. And I want to be sane or whatever. And he's like spouting off like this thing. And I'm like, this is kind of what everybody who like is going through a tough time, like a quarantine, where it's like, you just want to exist, sane where you are with the people that you care about.
It's true.
And I was
it's like why I wish we were together right now instead of in this horrible predicament.
Yeah. The chemistry is a little off today.
What you don't realize, guys, is that it's like a game of Battleship. He's on the other side of the table right now. We're in the same room.
That be amazing? The lighting is
it's pretty close.
It's close.
Yeah,
it's close.
It could definitely be. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else is pretty great in this. It took me a minute, just from a technical perspective, to understand what the hell was going on with Brad Pitt's eyes. But then they have a close up and they kind of give it away that it's a contact.
Yep.
Which, I mean, unless he's like that guy who played Pennywise, he can't actually do that. So clearly it's a contact, but it looks convincing. I mean, he looks crazy. He
looks crazy. Yeah,
he does.
No, he's legitimately great. Favorite character in the movie by a mile.
Yes, I would agree.
The problem is in the scenes where he has to go nuts, and we talked about this before we recorded. the ADR is piss poor at best.
Yeah, he Solo Wookiee is playing Battleship, I think, here. Yeah. But he commented B6. But no, you're right. It's terrible in a lot of this movie. Like beyond, and I don't know, maybe that was just a thing in the 90s. Maybe there were more movies that were like this.
Yeah.
Because like I don't remember that gripe even the last time I watched this, which was probably like 5 or so years ago. Maybe it's because technology is better, everything's easier to see, easier to hear.
Watching one of the Jack Ryans a few months ago, I noticed it there too. I think it's something about that time period. I think there was a lot of like, we'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't really fix it in post.
And you're right. He suffered probably the most out of any character with it. But there was a lot of there were a lot of scenes where I'm like, ooh.
Well, I feel bad for the sound guy because the sound guy had to be running the gamut of like, where the peaks and valleys would be, because he would start here and then he would end up way, way. So like, that's a lot of work for that guy. So it makes sense how that ended up happening.
Well, it's like there's a scene where they're driving in the car, the well scene where the radio's playing,
yes,
and whatever. And it's like, you're watching that scene and it's like, no, audio, your brain has, it picks up on differences. Like,
yes,
it doesn't sound like those voices are in a closed car with a radio.
Exactly. Yeah.
It sounds like it's a different plane. You know what I mean? It's a different thing. They're sitting in front of a microphone like this, probably a little bit more expensive, but
yeah. And that kind of falls on the audio engineer on that one. I mean, I don't want to call anybody out. Maybe there were, budgetary constraints. I don't know, but it's the most glaring fault in the movie as far as like a technical thing.
Yes,
narratively, like I said, narratively, it's just very predictable, and that's it's fun but predictable. So I mean,
at least it's not broken. There's nothing in it that doesn't get wrapped up. There's nothing in it that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess the way I think about it is like, and this is not an insult, it's like if I were to write a time travel movie, I'm not that great of a writer. It's probably what I would end up doing.
Right.
And I think it's what a lot of people would end up doing as far as like Contagion, time travel, insane.
Yeah.
Take these things, do it.
I do like the fact that it doesn't become about stopping the virus from happening until the very end of the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I liked that, and I liked the whole like what was it? The woman on the plane who's like, "Oh, I work in insurance" or whatever.
Isn't that the lady who sent him back?
Yeah, it's one of the
Right.
So I'm like, okay, so she's there. She time traveled as well. My thought being like, and you have to answer it for yourself, but my thought being, okay, well, she kills him there because now they know.
Okay.
They know, so they'll kill him there. They'll deal with the consequences or whatever. It intrigued me though, insofar as like I can't stop the writer part of my brain from functioning, and I'm like, what would be an amazing movie is a movie where it's time travel, but time travel was invented in like this kind of time, like this sort of dystopian future, but then like it's like 17 futures removed from that time travel, but the people from that time still have it. So like, oh, we tried to prevent this, we tried to prevent that, but like, could you imagine like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like the idea of like, they have seen so many different apocalypses that they have prevented, that the people from another time who are living in maybe like a utopia that they have enabled, they're like, you would never understand my time, and you would never understand how many pitfalls I kept humanity out of.
Sure.
Like
sure, yeah, because everybody's just living oblivious to
that would be shit. I would love to see. I would love to see that.
Yeah,
I don't know what the story is there, but I like it.
Now, I guess we're talking about the ending. What happens at the end is basically the vision that the movie started with was Bruce Willis's character as a little boy, and Bruce Willis, time traveler Bruce Willis, as an adult, is trying to stop Jonathan Morsi, I believe is his name. I looked up his name and then I forgot it instantly.
Okay.
But yeah, he's trying to stop him, the contact guy,
Right.
from releasing this virus. David Morsi, by the way, excuse me.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, David, but he's trying to stop him because David's going through the airport. He kind of has spouted off some stuff earlier in the movie about how humans are pieces of shit and we're just going to destroy nature and whatever. So he's going to release this virus that Brad Pitt's dad created. And Bruce Willis goes to stop him, gets shot by the cops. David Morsi gets on the plane, and you are to assume either, like you said, the woman kills him right there.
Yeah.
Which I believe the virus would still have been released in Philadelphia because he opened.
Yep.
Yeah, because he opened the thing in Philadelphia.
Right. So then the question is, because she says I work in insurance, and I'm like, that's such a pun. Like she's the insurance for him failing.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, obviously we're meant to assume that she kills him.
And so there was possibly going to be a trilogy out of this.
Okay.
So I don't know if your brain goes anywhere else with that ending.
No, this is good enough.
Okay.
I don't really need to say any more. I think sequels would actually maybe make this worse.
Did you ever watch the TV show on Sci-Fi Channel?
No, I didn't.
The first season was okay. Second season was garbage. I fell off. I got lost. It was so fucking confusing. It's one of those. But by the way, I did not realize that Brad Pitt was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for an Oscar for this.
Good.
He lost to Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects. And he did win a Golden Globe for this.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I like Brad Pitt. I think he's a great actor. Shit. You brought up something that I'm trying to remember what it was now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I do this all the time. See, this is where being live sucks because Alex just, he pauses the recording in person and he beats me over the head with a rolled up magazine. You know?
Yep. You fucking said something and then you kept talking. And I forgot what I was going to say.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Good movie.
It's a good watch.
Good movie. So anything else to say about it? We've given our grades. We've done spoilers. Watch 12 Monkeys if you haven't seen it. I think it's a good virus movie for this time, even if you're anxious about viruses, because it's not really about, that's something we haven't touched on. It's not really about the section of time we're in now. It's the before and it's the distant future. Right, so there's none of the outbreak in this movie, which is interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about contagion movies is like, you can do the outbreak if you want, but it's like, how much fun is watching the outbreak when you kind of already know like what that looks like? You sort of know what it's going to look like for a massive spread. Like, yeah, you might have like the visceral response of like watching a mother watch her child die or vice versa, but. But you know what I'm saying? Like the narrative thrust is that interesting, you know, at that point in the story.
There can be a lot of drama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I suppose if you center it around a character, you can maybe find something there, but
well, and it's funny because 28 Days Later is one that I think is pretty damn good. And that one basically follows the guy. And I haven't seen it in years, but it's not about, like Outbreak is like Dustin Hoffman and Morgan Freeman play the scientists who are going to, discover the cure or whatever. I don't think that's as interesting as the movies where it's just Joe Schmo, you know, and which I think is kind of what now they're played out as hell. But what kind of made zombie movies interesting is because basically they're outbreak movies, right? I mean, and you're typically following Joe Schmo, the guy, the everyman who you think, who you could be. You could imagine yourself in their shoes, fighting off the apocalypse. World is going to shit, dealing with people, dealing with the virus. Basically where we're going to be at in about 2 weeks, Damn
it. Come on now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
Let's have some fun. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, anything you watched that was fun this weekend?
Let's see. I watched more of My Hero Academia. I did say last episode it was the worst season so far.
Yeah, it's improved.
The last 2 episodes have been much better because they finally got back to what the show is, which is fighting and character growth and blah 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 blah. So the last two were good. Much better, but it's still the weakest season so far, at least this half of that season. But I enjoy it. I still enjoy the show. Still enjoy the characters, even though it's a shit season.
Nice. Well, hey, once in a while you get a shit season and there's a bounce back. I feel like usually that's not what happens, but
I've been reading the manga, so I actually know what happens moving forward, and I know this is the lull before some really great shit comes.
sweet.
So I'm not. It's kind of like oh, we just dealt with some big shit. Let's take a breather. I still would have done this in like 4 episodes or 5 episodes, not like 10. But whatever.
Yeah, is it doing like the CW Netflix thing where it's like there's like 2 filler episodes and then something important happens?
It's
and
more like the last 10 episodes have been all filler. But then like the 15 episodes before that were all amazing and sweet. So
nice.
Yeah.
So hey, out of curiosity, speaking of anime, have you broken down and watched Castlevania season 3 yet? The reviews are good. The reviews are good.
I don't give a fuck what the reviews say.
Oh,
I really don't.
Fighting
I
words.
started watching it. Castlevania is the characters aren't great. I don't think the animation is that great, really. It's very choppy. It's very like, I think the frame rate is low. There's a lot of kind of like, are you sure you aren't missing a few frames there? I don't know. It's not, to me, I think it's vastly overrated. And I find the characters so goddamn boring.
Are you going to watch the 3rd season now that you've put in the work to watch the first 2?
I don't know, because spoilers for Castlevania. Fucking Dracula's dead. Dracula's bite.
Pinky's Out podcast is not liking your commentary right now.
You know, different strokes, but you know, Dracula's gone,
and he is the most interesting.
He was the most fun. Yeah. I liked him. I liked his interaction with God, I forget his fucking son's name. I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me.
Okay. So. Speaking of TV, actually. Yeah. I have been watching, and I don't know if I've talked about it, but Better Call Saul is still great. Just killing it. We've got like Hank is back, and you know, Gus and all the old timers except for Walt are in there. Small roles, small enough where it's not like annoying that Hank is back, because it's like, oh, you just, you know, like made up this huge backstory for Hank that was clearly, you know, but no, it's really good, really dramatic. I think there's 1 season left after this. And the route that his relationship with, I believe Meg is the girlfriend's name, is going, I think it's going to end in disaster, like more disastrous than could possibly be really imagined, considering she's not even an afterthought by the time we get to Breaking Bad. Right. And she seems so important to him now. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. And then the Westworld season premiere was this weekend. And it was awesome.
Was it
awesome, dude? Yeah. Like now we're out in the real world, and it's like a mix of like Blade Runner and Tron. Like that's how I would describe how it feels to me. Like the new Tron with the spaceships look like those like, and like the music is awesome. Aaron Paul plays like ex-military who clearly has had some shit go down. What's her name? Evan Rachel Wood now is just like a scary badass robot that's ready to just destroy humanity. Right. I think this season's going to be good. I really do.
I hope so. My problem, I love season 1. I love season 1 so much. I think it's one of the most tight narratives I've seen because of like the setup of episode 1, which is still, I think, one of the greatest episode 1s ever. And then the subsequent, I think it's the last episode, or maybe it's the last 2. The revelations in the last 2 episodes are amazing, just amazing. And I feel like everything after that is going to be like a variation on that kind of twist of like, oh, you thought it was this, but it's really this time, or you thought this person was this person, but really they were the same person. The whole, like, I have a hard time thinking of a narrative twist or place that you can take the show that isn't going to be, I guess, comparatively lackluster. Because I think that season 2 is lackluster compared to season 1.
I would say that even the first season, it's an uneven show. The beginning of the first season, I loved. I thought it got a little bit confusing and jumbled as the season went on.
Right.
I will say the second season has maybe my favorite episode, which is the one that, episode is incredible.
Season 2 has some really high highs, but I feel like they're fewer and far between.
Oh, but there's some horrible shit in it too. Like the whole Samurai World thing was pretty stupid.
I love Samurai World, but it was really just kind of like, okay, so, just different setting, same concept.
They didn't do anything with it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And but I will say, when Anthony Hopkins came back in season 2, the show just got better, and I doubt he's going to be in this one at all. Right. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but the fact that it feels so different as far as being in a different setting, where all the characters are at. Bernard, for instance, he's in like a weird spot now. Right. I'm excited. And the first episode, I liked it way more than I thought. I'm not like a huge Westworld fan, right? Sure. I don't think it's like amazing, but I started it it was one of those where I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
And then by the time 15 minutes went by, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in on this. This is new. This feels fresh. Now, I'm not as excited about that as I am to watch Kingdom, though. Kingdom season 2 just released. So we'll have to talk about that in the next couple weeks. But yeah, anything else that you watched?
I watched most of You season 2.
Okay, and your thoughts so far on season 2 of You?
I liked what Netflix did with the show.
Okay.
I liked that they went bloodier. They went there are swear words now.
There are swear words.
There are swear words. Not that like I'm not like a 13-year-old. Like I don't need swear words to make me feel good about being an adult.
Yeah, but murderers and their ilk swear, so it makes sense to have swear words. Yeah.
And I'm actually Joe is straight. Okay, season 1, Joe is easily the most charismatic, interesting. Is actually really pretty good.
Yeah. So Pinky's Out thinks that You is good. And check out Pinky's Out podcast, by the way. It's a beer drinking podcast. So if you drink beer, listen to their podcast. I mean, you can't go wrong, right?
Right. So I like Joe is actually more interesting and more charismatic in season 2, which I did not think they could actually pull off, but somehow they did. They've done some interesting things with the character, performance choices that I would not have seen coming.
He's really good. The actor that plays him, I like him.
Yeah, he's very good. So the new love interest, just fucking don't love that name.
Do you love her?
No, I don't.
She was great in Haunting of Hill House.
Right.
Yeah.
Really don't like. At the end of the day, Beck was kind of basic, but I liked Beck more. Love, she's got some darkness to her. Like I feel like there are hints to like a twist later on in the season. I have 2 episodes left to go, so no spoilers in the comments. Right? Yeah. Well, you just kind of gave that away.
Oh, you don't know what the twist is.
I don't know what the twist is,
and you're not an idiot. So no. I mean, I don't think they're shocked.
No, but they've laid the groundwork for some sort of dark twist. 40 hated him.
Which one's 40? Is that the brother? Is that Love's brother? Okay.
Yeah. 40 started out as a character I fucking despised, but that was by design. The show wanted you to hate him. And then I started getting to know him, and then you're like, okay, I see a little bit more. And then in the last episode that I watched, which is the quarantine episode, actually.
Okay. You're getting there then.
Yeah, I am. There's a revelation, and once again, really strong performance. And I liked the writing on it. And there's a part of me like, it's funny about You. I hate hearing myself in my own headphones, but I can't turn down the volume because then I can't hear you. So, the problems of podcasting. But I I see myself and I see other people in these characters, which is a good sign. Like,
Well, what's scary is how much I see myself in Joe.
Right.
Which is what's scary about the show, and that's what kind of makes it fun. I don't know. It's like a really heightened version of like when you go out of your mind with an obsession. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are moments where like you're like, okay, I know I'm not that bad, but also the fact that you just see a distorted mirror image of yourself on screen in a murderer,
Right.
It's enough to make you take pause. But also I see some of the stuff in 40 too, because I'm like, struggling writer, guy who's worried about failure. You know, it's like, it's stuff that I feel like anybody who's any sort of creative deals with. And yeah, it's universal and maybe a little bit basic on that level, but I feel like they do just enough with it to make it fun and interesting.
It's fun, but it has moments that are so fucking stupid. I can't forgive it. And it makes me hate like whatever episode it happens in. I'm detached from the episode. You're far enough at this point where there's like the comedian, the stand-up comedian who he runs into at the party, and the little girl who lives in the apartment building is like creating a movie with him. Have you gotten through his whole thing? Yeah. What happens to him?
Yep.
Okay. That episode broke me in stupidity because everything that was happening was like, why is everyone being an idiot? No, you can't clean up that mess. You get stopped jaywalking. Like, give me a fucking break. The LAPD are going to stop you for jaywalking at 2:30 in the morning. There's just stuff like that. But
it was there were some contrivances going on in that one. There are times where I'm like, you know, I do feel like Joe, but then at the same time, sometimes I'm like, dude, Joe, like just relax. Like he hates everyone. Like he hates all of LA culture. He hates everything that like anybody stands for, really. And I'm like, dude, can you like he's like the ultimate hipster in that nothing is good enough.
Right.
You're
right. He is fun though. He makes
fun. He is fun, but also I'm like, dude, just fucking chill out. But I guess he's a murderer, so you can't fucking tell him to chill out.
Yeah, he's not a normal person, Alex. And it is funny how you feel like an asshole because it's like you are when he's in trouble, you're like holding your breath, like, oh, don't get caught. You're like, well, we want you to get out of it, you know.
I feel like with him, there's enough good in his character that. And it's funny because I see it's kind of like the idea of like, you know, this is cliche, but like women want a fixer-upper. They don't want the perfect guy. They want a guy that can be worked on. And Joe is the ultimate fixer-upper. And it actually works for male viewers too, because you're kind of like, dude, just come around and have a redemption arc. And we can just forget this ever happened.
Yeah.
It was a little blip in your life, and those people were bad, except for a couple people that maybe weren't bad.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be how it ends.
But it's not going to be how it ends. But there's the show is designed to make you hope for that.
Right. It is funny though, because you know damn well they can't end that way.
No.
You know,
it ends as fucking Norman Bates, you know, staring at the screen. You know, that's how it ends. But I fucking hate Love. I hate her. She is so fucking irritating.
She is a little bit irritating. Yeah, like every scene when like the CW type romance scenes, like when they go to her like family reunion or whatever.
Yes.
And it's like, whatever you, what is it? I blank you. What does he say?
Oh God, I wolf you.
God.
Yeah, it veers into, and like the thing is like when you're in the honeymoon phase of any relationship, like you've said dumb things like that. We all have said dumb, stupid things like that.
I don't know about that one. Maybe, but see, like I don't feel like, okay, if there's like some cheesy stuff like that, it like in real life, it's not that sincere. It's like a joke. You know what I mean? Whereas in this, it was like, oh, you could just feel her heart swell when he said it, you know?
She's so melodramatic. That's what I hate. She's so melodramatic. It's like, shut up. God
Well,
damn it.
I'm
Also,
excited.
Her mom hits her, and I just want her to just beat the shit out of her mom.
Right.
I'm
the
sorry.
parents are terrible.
The second that you're an adult and your child or you're hitting me, I feel like all gloves are off.
Totally.
So
I'm
whatever.
excited to see what you say next week. I'm excited for your
probably-
overall review.
I'll probably finish it tonight.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So don't leave me in the dark. Don't tell me until
Absolutely.
we record.
Unless I get pissed.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. You never, I mean, you can't get that pissed at that show though, right? It's not like a show that you can, could you?
Look, I'll be
Are you
pissed.
that into it that it could piss you off?
I'll be pissed if look, I've been fighting watching it. So I'll be pissed that I broke my principles of I'm not going to watch this. And only to then hate how it currently ends, I would be pissed that I wasted my time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I only watched one other notable thing.
Sure. What's that?
It was called Tigers Are Not Afraid. And
Okay.
it was a Spanish movie done in the vein of Pan's Labyrinth a bit, where it's these kids living in Mexico City. I think it's Mexico City. And basically it's about these kids coping with the drug cartels in Mexico. And one of their mothers is kidnapped. Their families have all been kidnapped or killed or whatever by this cartel. And it follows it begins with this teacher basically introducing a fairy tale project to this class of kids. And there's a little girl who kind of takes that to heart. And it's kind of are the things she's seeing real, or are they just the coping mechanisms that she's creating? But highly recommend this one. Highly. Really good.
How new is this?
Came out, I believe, I think it's One Cut of the Dead, where it technically had a 2017 release date, but I don't think US people saw it until September of last year. It's on Shudder right now, which there is a 30-day trial of Shudder going. They the Shudder In promo for 30 free days during the
quarantine.
During the quarantine. Did I just lose you? Well, it seems technical difficulties happened. You back?
I
lost you for a second. No, you did. During the quarantine. You went during the
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what happened. So everybody saw that.
That's a great face for me to freeze on.
Perfect. You'll have to watch it back. But no, it was really good, man. I think you'd like it a lot. It's not as good as Pan's Labyrinth. I don't think it's as good as The Devil's Backbone, which was the other one that he made that was a little bit like that. It's not I went into it thinking scary because of the trailer that I watched. It's not scary, but it is very heartfelt and good and emotional, and it makes you realize every time we bitch about our everyday lives, there's people in certain parts of the world dealing with shit that we could never imagine.
Yeah.
And the importance of stories for people that are going through a hard time. You know what I mean? That escape, that thing, that coping mechanism. We've both probably used those before as metaphors in our lives, but imagine how much more sweet it is for somebody who needs it as much as somebody like this character. So I really enjoyed it, but yeah, That's all I've got. I don't know. You got anything else?
No, I just find it funny. We keep on watching all of these things that are subtitled. It's kind of insane.
It's kind of sad that we can't find all these things. Although we have good shit too. We
have a lot of good shit. I think it's the globalization though. I really do. I just think that other countries are, the means of production for film are getting more and more readily available.
Right.
So I just think it's to the point now where you're going to see good shit from every country because everybody's got ideas and everybody's got an interesting take. And that's kind of that's where when you're this far in as far as we are into content, you're I need something new, give me that creativity. Cause I can't fucking stand another fucking 12 Monkeys where it turns out that he saw his own death.
Yes. And how much easier we can see it right there. I mean, we just click two buttons and boom. When I was a kid, I don't remember. I mean, I remember Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon coming out, and it was oh my God, there's a subtitled big movie out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Oh my god.
so
You
yeah,
know-
nowadays it's like you go on Netflix, there's a shitload on there. So,
yeah, I don't want to put the the old too much optimism into this whole quarantine situation, but you imagine what this would be like without streaming?
oh my God. Oh my goodness.
I mean, yeah, I've got all of this, but I'm tired of like 95% of it.
Yeah, once in a while I go to this here. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this. Can I do it? Nope, it's so hard. It's so hard. There we go. This.
Yep.
And like sometimes I walk up to it and I always find something, but you're right. It's like, like there's stuff here that I saw years ago that I haven't opened that I needed to have because I like it, but I'm still not in the mood to watch it.
You
know what I mean?
Oh man, you're one of those. I can't buy a Blu-ray unless I want to see it
Now,
within a week.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
but
my rule.
sometimes though I order it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch that. I'm excited for that to come. And then by the time it comes, I'm not in the mood for it, But I will be someday.
Someday.
I will be. But yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. Anything else? Anything you want to talk about, anything that you're working on, while you have this live forum, so to speak.
I mean, I'm working on writing and I'm working on character designs and stuff. Just standard stuff that will probably never see the light of day.
Just do it. Just release it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got the show this weekend. We have started a comic version as well. So obviously, Alex, you're welcome to join on that. We've
Started
done the first
comic version.
Yeah. So the first Sunday, a couple weeks ago, we did the first 18 issues of Saga. We did the second 18 issues of Saga 3 nights ago on Sunday.
Okay.
And then either this Sunday or next Sunday, Downright Nerdy works in the healthcare world, so he might not be very much available, but we're going to do All-Star Superman, the first 6 issues.
Love it.
And then the next one we're going to do is finishing off what exists of Saga. So if you ever want to join in on any of those, feel free. And obviously you would be able in the line to recommend shit as well. Because obviously, I pushed All-Star Superman, of course.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I know you.
Yes. But yeah, that's it. I've been Jackson.
I've been
as
home
usual.
at the movies.
And thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week.
I'm hoping that